whole thing it's like forming.
Yeah.
Good morning and welcome back to the channel. It is a beautiful 9 degrees this morning and it's probably about a good 5 degrees down here at the spring right now. Today is laundry day, so we're down here at the spring filling up all of our water jugs. When we finished our spring development back over the summer, we were getting about a gallon per minute flow from the water, and that hasn't changed at all even in these really cold temperatures. The spring has been maintenance free up to this point and we haven't had to make any alterations to the spring cap than what we initially did.
Yeah.
You may have noticed that the spring looks a little bit different than when we ended our last spring video, so we're going to do a flashback to show you what we've done up to this point.
So our spring is flowing really good still. It's been going for a few months now. I think it's safe to say that we can invest a little bit more money into it and finish developing it. We're not going to glue these connections just in case if we ever have to pull it apart for some reason. It's not like it's under pressure or anything like that, so we shouldn't have any need to glue it together. Found pretty hard. Who would have known that was buried under the mountain? So this is our spring box. I ended up getting this from Carolina Tanks. It's really nice. It's really thick, BPA free. It's probably going to last many years. Honestly, I could not find another good replacement for this to make it myself. I looked into using possibly a food grade tote. They're not UV rated, so sitting out in the sun, they're just going to get destroyed. I looked into using like a food grade bucket. The problem with like a food grade bucket is when it comes to these bulkhead fittings, you can't really put a bulkhead fitting on that curve. It just really won't seal up correctly. I thought about using a bigger barrel, except that's just a little too big for what we're trying to do. We're not trying to make this into a cistern. This is just to catch the sediment that's coming down out of the spring. That way it doesn't go into our cistern. It actually has a lower spot to kind of funnel all the sediment in, which is really nice. So it should catch it all, and then the water has to rise several inches before it can start going through this pipe with holes drilled in it, and that'll allow it to come out your water outlet. But with this removable lid, it fits on there snug, so like animals aren't going to get in it or anything like that, and it really makes it nice. So you can just come down and open it right up and clean it. I've got my 2-inch pipe run down to here, which there's a good drop off right here, just enough to where this will be able to sit down in the ground a little ways, and yet these pipes on the bottom will still be able to re-divert the water back into the stream for now. So I'm going to work on digging out over here and get this in place and then see if I can get it hooked up and get water flowing through it. Let's see how close we are. That's pretty close. I'm going to get this spring hooked up so it starts running into the spring box, and we'll see what it looks like. We got a little bit of dirt in the pipe. We're almost to the point where we should start getting water out the 1-inch pipe down the other end. It's about to start filtering through the little holes in this pickup tube. Put this lid on and we'll go down there and check it out. There it is. It's crazy how clear natural spring water is. That's even with the dirty pipes that I just got a little bit of dirt inside of from putting them together. This looks like it's working really well. I'm pretty happy with it. One thing that I should have explained better on our last video about this spring is the purpose of our dam wasn't necessarily to dam the water up. The reason why we had the pipe at the very bottom of that dam was to basically funnel all the water coming down that slight slope out of the spring seep into the pipe right away. Water always looks for the easiest path. So when you dam it up like that with that added back pressure of a dam that's causing all that water to be held back, it'll search for another area to come out of the ground that's an easier path. You'll actually dry up your seep. And with this one, the only way that it would do that is if the lower pipe blocked off. And that's why we put the upper pipe in that dam, is so that if it does get blocked off, we'll know because it'll start coming out of that top pipe. This is about 1.5 feet lower than the seep. There's no way that this water buildup could put any pressure on it, because as you can see, the water level in here is actually lower than the pipe even is. With this overflow here, if the water level raised just another 1/2 inch, it would start going through that and it would evacuate that extra water so that it wouldn't put back pressure on the seep cap that's upstream. Spring water just has a different taste. Tastes so good.
What you doing there?
Trying to thaw the lid out. It's frozen on. Put some of this like 45-degree water on it and see if we can thaw it out. Oh, there it is. Wow. We've been keeping a really good eye on the spring box to make sure it's not having any freezing problems with the really cold temps. It's been getting really close to 0 degrees here, and so far it's generating enough thermal heat from the underground water source that it hasn't frozen.
The heat from the water is like actually melting the snow around the box.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely a lot warmer than the outside air. It actually has made like all the ice and snow slide off. At this point, the spring cap has been in close to 5 months, and what we found is that the sediment isn't a big deal up there at that point because the screen is big enough to allow sediment to flow down. That's where the spring box comes in, because all of the sediment gets trapped in here so that it's not going into our drinking water, plugging our filtration system that we filter the water to drink from. So far, since this has been in, I've only emptied this of sediment twice. It takes about 2 months to build 4 inches of sediment coming out of the cap, which is pretty normal from what I've gathered online. But we'll open it up and we'll show you. It's probably been about a month and a half at this point since I've emptied any sediment out of this. None of these fittings are glued. We just pull the pipes on all 3 ends and just flip the box over, dump it out. It takes about maybe 60 seconds tops. We'll open it up and show you what's going on in there and see what kind of sediment we have collected. Yeah, so you can see it's probably about a couple inches. There's probably like 3 inches of sediment that's collected in there from coming out of the spring cap.
Yeah.
And it's not, I wait until it gets above these holes in this, because this is what lets the water flow down and out where we're collecting it. So if it starts to get above that bottom elbow, that's when I'll usually disassemble it and dump it out. Looks like it's working good.
There we go. That'll make it a lot easier to get in and out. I'll have to step over it in the ice.
This may seem like a lot of work, but it actually really beats running the town every few days to get enough water to shower and do laundry and do dishes and whatnot like that, because we don't have an outdoor cistern right now or a big enough cistern to store very much water to keep it from freezing. So hauling about 60 gallons at a time like this whenever we need it, just coming down here. I mean, this is 300 feet from our RV, so we can just come down here and get it as we need it and make it work. And you know, in the future it'll be a lot more streamlined when we can run a water line up the hill and pump it from a spring house down here, but for now this is a lot better than not having water.
When we rented the excavator, we had planned to dig a trench for our water lines to come from the spring up this hill into where we're going to run the water lines into the cabin. When we were down here removing debris, we found out that the final drive on one of the tracks was failing. So unfortunately, we'll have to come back with a different excavator to trench our water lines. Right now, the ground's just a little too frozen, so that'll be a project for the spring.